What's interesting is you get all kinds of background about the sounds. It just goes bit by bit throughout the film as if following the script, and as it comes to new sounds, gives some backstory, sometimes a few at a time, sometimes one at a time, sometimes you have them paired, sometimes you have them individually, as I'm saying here. Basically what you have is just a rundown of the different sounds and where they came from. The tauntauns coming from some otters. I never knew that a TIE fighter sound was essentially a screaming elephant. You know, to be honest with you, I'm not sure I ever knew that elephants could scream at all, so I was kind of surprised by that too. What we've got here, though, is this great background material. So, for instance, let's say you want to learn about the background of the tauntaun sound. It's here as sound number 95. Now, you could just simply say, okay, well, I'm going to read about the tauntaun sound. But this book comes with a very nice addition. This electronic sound player, this digital sound reproducer over here to the side. You have 3 buttons, back, forward, and play/stop. Press the play button, it brings up an LCD display. It's kind of hard for you to possibly see there. Let me show you here. It says 139 there. Well, in the book it says, okay, tauntaun is sound number 095. So we're going to take it and we're going to roll it back from 139 all the way back, zipping through. You can hold it down and make it move much more quickly. 94 up to 95. So I want to read about the tauntaun. Read. But gee, let's have a reminder about that sound. Every single sound that is discussed within this book has one of these little markers by it, which has a number. And the numbers all connect to the sounds that we find here on the digital player. And there is a massive number of sounds. I can hold it down and it just zips and zips and zips its way. 150, 160, 170, and so on and so on and so on and so on. Up and up and up and up. You basically have over 200 sounds. I believe, let's double check. Yep, 256 separate sounds for this book. The book itself being, if you go all the way back again, like I say, you can go through each film sequentially, working your way through. Here we're in Jedi. It even has a special section about sound changes that were made for the special editions when they wound up coming out. We keep going. It's going to take you through the Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith. Takes you down into, as I said, the Clone Wars. Not much, but a little bit of sounds of the Clone Wars cartoon series, including some interesting stuff about the sounds of the Twilight. When you finally get to the end, you're going to find the book to be almost 300 pages, which is 300 once you start counting in the fact that it gives you a nice little index, which obviously you probably can't see there, a nice little index of all the sounds and where they come in, so you can go through and pick and choose which ones you want to check out. Personally, I think this is interesting enough. You'd probably want to read it cover to cover, but it's going to be a very heavy read because it's a lot of pages and a lot of material on each page. It's a really cool book, though. Now, again, as I said, it's very thick. It kind of does what we wound up seeing with some of those other thick books that I mentioned before, where if you open it up, the spine feels a little weak. It's basically this very heavy cover, and to keep the pages together, instead of it being the paper cover or the cardstock or whatever it is cover, you got sort of this little cloth piece here that all the pages are attached to, and then it's got the big binding around it, the cover binding around it. That does mean that you got kind of that wibble-wobble kind of thing going on with the spine. You're going to want to take care of it. I don't think it's going to fall apart or anything like the Art and Making of the Force Unleashed did, but I think I'm never going to let them live that down, by the way. Beyond that, though, I mean, it is a solid type of cover, but understand it's a little wibbly, and it is going to wind up being something where you could sort of misalign the covers if you accidentally got it banged up too much. What really impresses me about this is the way they handle the digital music player. Not only is it something that's nice and strong, and it's built into the back cover, so it's not something where it's going to have a tendency to fall off or anything, but what you have here is, first off, if the batteries ever run out, you can replace them. They're not like many other books that have digital music or digital sound players with them, where if the batteries run out when you're playing the sounds, just too bad, so sad, you're just screwed, go buy another book. No. You have here a battery cover to switch out the batteries, and even instructions in the first few pages of how to do that. You have a nice big LCD screen to show you what number you're on. You have your speaker up here. You even have volume control, so you're not going to drive everyone nuts while you're listening to the thing. The only thing that maybe it could have had that it doesn't or at least that I thought that it didn't until I just looked at it this second, was an earphone jack. I thought, gee, wouldn't it be nice to be able to listen to it on your own? But I don't see an earphone jack on here anywhere. Au contraire, you learn something new every day. Check it out. There is an earphone jack. You don't even have to listen to this and bother the people around you. Stick some earphones in and read in that sense. It really is an amazingly well done book as far as design goes. The information is terrific. A lot of stuff I learned in here by flipping through it without even reading the whole thing. It's stuff that I had never ever heard before, not on audio commentary tracks anywhere. It is great, amazing stuff. But the way they put it together from a design aesthetic standpoint and from a practical technical standpoint here is really well done. It's one of the best put together books of its kind I've ever seen, if not the best. And I'm talking within Star Wars and without, because we haven't seen this type of thing much with Star Wars itself. Now, here's the sticking point. When you get really good quality stuff like this, and you have some seriously nice technology built into it that's not cheapo stuff, but stuff that really is on par with the book itself, you're going to wind up paying a premium for that. This book on store shelves costs you, I'm going to try to center the whole thing here, this book on store shelves is going to cost you $60. Heavy, heavy price tag. Now, if you're into Star Wars sounds, Star Wars behind-the-scenes stuff, and you're intrigued by seeing where those sounds come from and seeing this done in a really detailed, really well-done manner, then, yeah, it's worth the $60. But for a lot of people, that's going to be a stretch money-wise. The good news is that you can go places like Amazon and get it for almost half price, about $30, $40, something like that. You're going to wind up finding you can get much better bargains online than buying it in most bookstores where it's going to be full price, or it's going to be a small discount, like if you have a Books A Million card or a Barnes & Noble card or something like that. I would certainly try to pick this up at a discount just to make it more cost-effective for you. If you're really into Star Wars sounds, my recommendation, buy The Sounds of Star Wars. It is an amazing book. You're never probably ever going to see anything quite like it. It is awesome. If you're a Star Wars fan who's into the EU, and you only want to necessarily buy stuff that is fiction or stuff that is EU related, then this book will do nothing for you. Because this book is all about the sounds of the Clone Wars and the Star Wars films, not about anything having to do with the expanded universe whatsoever. They don't touch on the audio dramas, for example. So if you're interested in Star Wars sounds, highest possible recommendation. If you're into any other part of Star Wars other than the Star Wars sounds and the behind-the-scenes stuff, I would check it out maybe in a bookstore first. It's an awesome book. I think it's probably one you're going to be intrigued by even if you're not heavily into Star Wars sound stuff to begin with. But it's one of those things that because of how high the price tag is, I would wait, check it out in the store, maybe on a display, and if it seems like something you're interested in, go for it. It does allow you, and I've taken the stickers off, but there is a Try Me sticker that you would see if this was sitting in a store where you could at least try out the sounds. And it automatically turns itself off so the batteries aren't going to be run down or anything when you finally buy the thing. Great book. Again, The Sounds of Star Wars by Jonathan Rinzler with a foreword by Ben Burt. Electronic device here. My only other word of caution would be careful. If you're going to buy this in a store, that's probably your best bet from a quality standpoint because you'll be able to test the LCD display. I did order mine initially through Amazon.com. When it arrived, the LCD display was already defective. No numbers would show up, so you had no idea what sounds you were going to play. Amazon, of course, does a great return policy process, so I sent it back and they sent me a new one very quickly. But bear in mind that if you're having this shipped to you, you don't get a chance to test this out ahead of time. If you're willing to put up with the headache if it winds up showing up defective to send it back and have another one sent to you, then it's probably going to wind up being worth the money to order it online. If you're someone for whom the quality issue may be something that you're more concerned about than the money, you want to get it right and get it right the first time, this is one of the few cases where I may say go ahead and buy it in a store even if the price is a little bit higher because it is possibly going to be a headache. I honestly don't know why the LCD display on my original one didn't work. I don't know if it was the heat, if it was defective to begin with, or what. But I did have to send this one back once, so consider that a word of caution. Even with that headache, though, I'm extremely pleased with this particular purchase. You should check it out. Sound of Star Wars. Now, with that being said, we'll call it a day. Thank you for watching this visual showcase here on the EU Reviews Facebook page. See you again soon. Good night, everybody.